Thanks for joining us today. We'll be starting this webinar in just a couple of minutes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome. Thanks for spending time with us today. We're excited to have you here for today's session on SAP Seamless Planning, where we're going to walk through how SAP is rethinking enterprise planning and how organizations can move beyond some of the real limitations they're experiencing today with traditional planning, especially around scale, performance, and version management. This session is being recorded, and we'll leave time at the end for Q&A. Feel free to drop questions into the chat as we go along. For those of you who don't know us, I'm Phil King, and I lead strategy and growth here at TEK Analytics. We are a boutique strategic business and technology consulting firm focusing on data, analytics, planning, and AI-driven transformations. We've been doing this work at TEK since 2012, partnering with organizations that want to be practical and have modern solutions without overhead and rigidity of large system SIs. We're headquartered in Chicago with a global delivery footprint across North America, Costa Rica, India, and Canada. Our teams come from deep SAP and industry backgrounds, and we spend most of our time helping customers modernize planning and analytics architectures around SAP BDC, Datasphere, and SAP Analytics Cloud, otherwise known as SAC. Today's session is very grounded in what we're seeing in real client environments. The challenges are common, and the path forward is becoming much clearer. I'm joined today by Karthik Adula. He is our head of architecture and delivery, and the person our clients often refer to as our mad scientist in the best possible way. Karthik has spent years designing and implementing large-scale SAP planning, analytics, and data platforms. He lives at the intersection of architecture and execution, which means he's not only thinking about what's possible, but what actually works in production. Karthik will walk you through the seamless planning architecture, how SAP BDC and Datasphere fit into the picture, and what this means for SAC planning and what a realistic migration path looks like based on what SAP supports today. With that, let's get into it. Karthik, I'll hand it over to you to walk us through SAP Seamless Planning and the demo.
Thank you, Phil, for a brief introduction, and thank you everyone for joining today's webinar. My name is Karthik Adula, and I am Principal Architect at TEK Analytics. Today, we would like to share our perspective and opinions on seamless planning in SAP BDC, with SAP BDC being on full force now, with a lot of customers already in their journey towards BDC, we thought it would be very important to understand how seamless planning works in BDC context and how seamless planning opens up new advanced capabilities on the planning side. And towards the end of this webinar, we would jump into live demo, taking a simple allocation example and showing you how exactly the data flows behind the scenes for seamless planning. Rather than flashing away through the slides, we want to show you in action how the data moves between each systems and how it will help us to unlock new possibilities within the planning use cases. So before we get into seamless planning, let's talk about what is this SAP BDC, what is DataSphere, what is SAC, and how the seamless planning will be enabled within this BDC architecture. So BDC is relatively new solution from SAP, released as or I would say like a new product offering from SAP. It was released generally available from last year, and by this time I'm pretty sure like most of the customers, if not almost all the SAP BW customers, might be thinking about SAP BDC, and maybe many of them are already in the transition to BDC. Within our conversations with some customers about the BDC, many of them have perception that BDC is nothing but existing SAP product tools like SAC, DataSphere, and BWPCE, all bundled under one single licensing model without much change. But to some extent, we can understand the perception, but in reality, the BDC as an architecture, it goes much beyond that. Right from how you package the data using from the new data products terminology or new data product features, all the way to data governance and lakehouse capabilities, everything behind the scenes has been changed. Object store is now very tightly integrated with BDC, so which brings both data warehousing capabilities as well as lakehouse capabilities for all the advanced AI by ML capabilities. So this BDC brings both SAP and non-SAP data into one single trusted platform and acts as a one single data fabric foundation on top of which we can construct semantic models and consume the data in real time using multiple tools, both with SAC as well as outside SAC too. Now let's talk about what is DataSphere. So DataSphere, again, it used to be formerly called as Data Warehouse Cloud, used to be as a part of a standalone subscription or a BTP service, but now it's part of BDC core. So Data Warehouse Cloud or DataSphere is SAP's data fabric solution, and it is very tightly integrated with SAP ecosystem of products, both on-prem, on cloud, as well as non-SAP systems. So like I said, it's a data fabric solution, meaning one of the key advantage of DataSphere, you can replicate the data as well as federate the data. You can get without losing any of the business context from SAP data, meaning you can preserve all the hierarchies and SAP relationships. It has all the standard content being delivered by SAP similar to BW, so we can get the things get started very quickly. And DataSphere provides end-to-end data management capabilities, right from data ingestion to data governance, as well as data replication, and it can act as a pass-through layer between SAP systems to external systems without losing the business context. At the same time, DataSphere also has a very rich semantic modeling experience, meaning we can create analytical models which can be consumed in SAC very easily, as well as DataSphere we can connect via Power BI, Tableau, or any kind of SQL interfaces. One key advantage of DataSphere, or I would say not advantage, but when I say advantage, flexibility in DataSphere is, unlike traditional BW systems, this is more open and agile, meaning you can have multiple API based protocols, you can connect via APIs. It is very tightly integrated with BTP. At the same time, it offers HDA modeling too by exposing the underlying HANA cloud. So pretty much whatever is possible in the BW and HANA on-prem systems can be done in DataSphere without any issues. This slide shows the very high level architecture of DataSphere. Like I was mentioning in my previous slide, DataSphere can connect to both SAP applications and non-SAP applications, both on-prem and cloud. And it offers end-to-end data management capabilities, right from federation, replication, data governance, as well as you can create a semantic modeling for end user consumption. The BW bridge, it's no longer a roadmap from SAP. With BDC, BWPC is a long-term solution, a way to go. And as you see, DataSphere has a very tight and seamless integration with HANA Object Store and Apache Spark, meaning you can load huge volumes of data for cost-effective storage like on the hyperscalers. Still, that can be consumed or can be views or no analytical modeling can be done on top of which on top of those object store files in DataSphere and consumed in SAP Analytics Cloud. So we don't need to really replicate the data in Analytics Cloud. Everything can be virtual, meaning the data stays in DataSphere and SAC can act as a wrapper or consumption layer. And DataSphere, through DataSphere, you can consume the data out of DataSphere in third-party tools like Power BI, Tableau, or any kind of BI interfaces. Now let's talk about some of the common use cases of DataSphere. Like I said, traditionally whatever is possible in BW, that is definitely possible. More or less we can do in a more elegant and flexible way in DataSphere. It can act as an enterprise data foundation layer, data lake, data foundation layer for customers with huge SAP footprint, data with SAP footprint, and it can combine operational data for real-time use cases with non-SAP data out of third-party systems. With its tighter integration with SAC, or SAC being a top-end tool for DataSphere, seamless planning can be easily done, meaning you can unlock many new possibilities similar to SAP BPC on top of HANA database. And DataSphere can also act as a data sharing platform. So data out of SAP S4 HANA or BW4 HANA systems can be replicated into third-party systems, external tools with ease using the replication flows without losing the business context. So also in other way, BW landscape modernization in DataSphere, more or less, it's like a next version of BW. I would say like the next evaluation of BW. So every customer, or most of the customers who wants to modernize their BW landscape, DataSphere is natural choice. And as a part of this transition from traditional BW use cases to cloud-based use cases, DataSphere is a not just optional thing. It should be the long-term strategy for any SAP customers. Now let's talk about SAC planning, SAC specifically and planning and its current state possibilities. SAC has been around for a while. It's been around for more than a decade now, and as a tool, it combines both planning and analytics into one single tool. So the need that way, customers no need to have two separate tools, one for reporting and for planning. It's one single cloud-based tool. SAC already a lot of customers already started using it, or maybe many of the planning use cases already been deployed. It supports budgeting, forecasting, financial planning, driver-based planning, advanced calculations using data actions. So pretty much SAC will be the next future roadmap for BPC customers. Since it's a cloud-based tool, the UI and adoption will be much more easier for end users. At the same time, SAC has inbuilt predictive capabilities like time series forecast, as well as some kind of clustering algorithms are there, like basic machine learning capabilities. And at the same time, it integrates very tightly with on-prem SAP systems using both live as well as import connections. Like I was saying, overall, SAC is very strong cloud analytical and cloud platform for both analytics and your planning use cases. So restrictions on the SAC planning and sizing. So even though SAC planning has many advantages, it is really very powerful tool for to achieve any planning capabilities. But at the same time, it has its own limitations too. And with our experience, these limitations has slowed down the adoption for customers who are traditionally on BPC adopting SAC. One of the biggest concerns for this adoption is data volume and how much data SAC can realistically handle, along with a lot of data import and modeling limitations. The key reason behind this is the application by itself is very tightly coupled with SAC database. So the underlying HANA cloud, it's not exposed to end users, meaning however, there is no direct access to HANA cloud underneath SAC. So we have to interact only through SAC layer. Because of that, we have a lot of limitations, or no modeling flexibility is somewhat restricted. So how there's no way we can partition the model. There are so many restrictions within the modeling practices because the database is not directly exposed. On top of it, even though advanced calculations can be performed or can be designed, allocation logics, what if simulations, everything can be designed in data actions and multi actions, it always comes with its own limitations. Meaning, when you're trying to achieve very complicated and complex allocation logics, data actions have its own limitations on how much data it can process, and we cannot use some of the filtering capabilities on top of properties. So these might sound very minute, but they become very important when you're actually implementing the complicated planning scenarios. See, for example, customers coming out of traditional BPC or IP implementations who have this strong HANA database backing, like writing a script logics and everything on the HANA side, for them, doing everything in the data action may be somewhat tying up their hands, meaning they cannot achieve everything. So these restrictions are impacting not only performance but the overall adoption. So while SAC is really powerful, these challenges are real, and especially when you are trying to make it as an enterprise planning use cases, uh, or lifting and shifting your BPC use case into SAC, these limitations becomes real. Now let's understand how seamless planning will help you in resolving some of these limitations. So seamless planning, the fundamental difference is the database layer is completely decoupled, meaning data sphere becomes a persistence layer. SAC still remains a user interface or application layer. So whatever planning models we create on the SAC side, the data physically resides in data sphere. It will create a planning like fact tables in the data sphere, which can be accessed via data sphere. So you are no longer restricted to access via SAC user interface. We can directly go through data sphere. This completely unlocks a new possibility of writing SQL logic or advanced SQL logic. Just like how we write HANA script logics in the HANA database, we can do pretty much everything in the data sphere. Also, being data sphere has its own HDA modeling capabilities. So on top of this planning data, if something is not achievable in SQL, we can even write table functions, when you say SQL, classic SQL, we can even go deeper into table functions. At the same time, with the recent releases on the HANA script server, we can do APL and PAL based machine learning algorithms on top of the planning data. So all of this can be now possible you with the seamless planning, and this will open up many new possibilities. And with BDC, the additional advantage is having Databricks, and going for maybe next year, maybe having Snowflake into the mix of BDC. So without BDC, currently customers on SAC who have SAC and HANA Cloud can do the seamless planning, but with BDC, since Databricks is part of the BDC mix, so all the planning data can be exposed via Delta Share to Databricks to achieve more complicated AI and machine learning scenarios. So in the next section, I will go through a live demo of taking one allocation example and how allocation logic can be written on the HANA database instead of data action, and the same data can be exposed to SAP Databricks and write a prediction algorithm and get the data back into SAC and show the predicted sales volumes in the SAC. So getting into the demo, so this is the BDC main cockpit screen. As a part of system landscape or our formation, we have a data sphere tenant, a SAC tenant, as well as Databricks tenant, and we have our own S4 HANA Cloud for all our as a data provisioning server. Or when I say data provisioning server, like that's our S4 HANA Cloud, which which gives us all the data through data products. Now, from the SAC, so I already opened the story. Let's take a very simple allocation logic as an example. Traditionally, when you create any story in SAC for planning needs, either it has to be BPC embedded connection or imported model where data physically resides in the SAC, on top of which you can write data actions, multi actions, allocation logic, value driver trees, everything. So if you look at this, you have actual data coming out of data sphere. Now, once you go to planning data for top-down allocation, so we want to allocate our planning, top-down planning for 2026 at a product level. So whenever we allocate or we do any kind of data manipulation here, for example, I want to allocate AIT units of product A with allocation percentage by region. Maybe I can change it to 20%. Now, the moment I change any data after publishing or before publishing, in order to recalculate, we need to go through data actions, meaning you execute a data action and that data action will actually create the logic or persist the data in the system. So all the processing will be done within the HANA cloud underlying on the SAC side. Whereas in the seamless planning, the model by itself is created in SAC. So let me go into model. The model by itself is necessary, like I said, but data storage will be part of the data sphere. As you see, it is we assign which space it needs to go, and then what should be the technical name of the table it creates in the space. So if you navigate to data sphere under the same space, it creates a model or a local table, fact table shared from SAC. So this is a table which was created when we started creating the model. Now, on top of this table, you can apply or you can create technically any kind of SQL. So for this allocation logic in this example, rather than writing a data action, we can create a simple allocation view. So virtual view in the data sphere, fully SQL script, and then as the data is published in the SAC, once you execute this, for performance reasons, if the data is huge, we can persist it again. So for the faster retrieval, but in this case, it's completely virtual. So the moment you go into your actual story, your allocated volumes, as you see, it is executing the view virtually, and these volumes have been recalculated or the view executed in the data sphere. So it was no data action, no multi actions, all the logic is being done in data sphere side. Now, this is a simple example of the SQL, but you can achieve more complicated logics using HGA modeling. Like every space, you can expand it into HGA containers using Business Application Studio in BTP. You can do traditional HANA XSA modeling, whatever complicated scenarios you can achieve in the HANA on-prem, you can exactly achieve the same things on the data sphere or seamless planning side. Now comes the next part, how we can extend this data for more advanced AI by ML use cases. One of the thing is, one possibility is you can use traditional HANA PAL or APL algorithms, which are part of data sphere script server. But if you want to extend much more beyond that, then you can expose it to Databricks. So let's show how can we create a data product and how it will be exposed into Databricks. So you can go into data products. So one second, before going into data products, we want to show you our use case of ML. So we want to combine the planning data from SAP SAC with external market index data. So all the external data is already in the SAC object store. So entire SAC data along with external data is already in the object store. This has been deployed and then we replicated the data from our regular space into the object store space for to create data products. So once the data is in the object store, the next step is creating the actual data product. So we create the data product. Maybe we can go through catalog. So financial data product is a data product we created. As you see, the source is data sphere. If you get into this data product and the APIs available here, APIs, you can exactly see what kind of objects are in this data product. As you see, it has all the data which we want to expose it as a part of our data product. You can see here even external data, which is market data, which was which is stored in the object store, is part of this data product and is currently shared with Databricks. So now once you go into Databricks, these are SAP Databricks, which is again as a part of formation we have it. Once you go into Databricks, as you see, it will show all the delta shares received, and this is the delta share we created. So the exact same artifacts which have been part of the data product are shared with the Databricks tenant. Now once it is in the Databricks tenant, then you can follow the same Databricks principles of either medallion architecture, or if you think the data is clean enough within the data sphere, you can directly use them in your ML flow to achieve machine learning, whatever machine learning use case we have, you can go to data we can achieve within the Databricks. So in this case, we are writing a sales volume prediction. So we get some kind of silver data because it's a raw data. We cleanse some data in this notebook, and finally the machine learning algorithm, classic Python. So you can use all the available Python libraries for this predicting your sales volumes. So once your output data is spitting out the numbers, then the next step is publishing this data to again SAP Data Sphere as a data product. So your final view or final data set in the Databricks can be published to same Databricks Data Sphere tenant or SAP BDC tenant. So if you go into BDC, so this is a data product which was published out of Databricks to DataSphere. As you can see, the origin is SAP Databricks, and if you look at our ORD, or maybe here you can, the title is the same exact thing which is showing up here. So once you install this, it will install whatever remote tables or whatever goal tables we created there. It will be installed as a part of this API. I already installed it before. So this is a technical table name, contains gold, and then in the data sphere we can create analytical models on top of this predicted volume. So we have the models and your volume forecast. This is a model we created on top of the fact table published via data products from Databricks into SAC. So based on this model or this analytical model, we can create your SAC, no, any SAC page, analytical application or anything within the same story or different story. It's up to our user interface choices. As you can see, this is a complete predicted data set out of Databricks into SAC. Everything is so seamless. We are not really moving any data outside of the SAP ecosystem. So no need to worry about performances, or no need to much worry about data latencies or moving the data from one system to the system. Everything is coupled within one single application, and you can achieve many complicated scenarios. It doesn't need to be stopped at ML, but being Databricks has its own Gen AI engines, so meaning you can apply even Gen AI use cases on top of the planning data. Like you can build an AI agent on top of your FP&A use cases for month-ending support. Everything is now possible. In the next webinar, we want to really show a FP&A agent we built on top of SAC data using Databricks. With that said, I am concluding the demo. So before I hand over to Phil and open up for questions, I want to answer one of the most important questions which comes from our customers all the time, which is what is a migration path from existing BPC into SAC? I mean, to be very straightforward, there is no direct lift and shift option, unlike like shell migrations or remote migrations. We have to simply move your existing, you can really simply move your existing BPC into SAC as is. It has to be completely rethought and we need to redesign it. This means the logic needs to be recreated in the SAC. Our recommendation usually to give more smoother transition is to start with BPC live connections. So start with BPC embedded live connections. Get familiarized with the UI and how SAC as a product works. That will, the adoption will be much faster. From there, we can gradually start converting existing BPC logic into SAC. Start with very small use cases wherever it is possible, very small use cases which can be done via data actions and everything. So we can start with that. And complicated use cases which needs DB level scripting and HANA level scripting, that needs to be completely implemented in seamless planning using HDI or SQL logic. So overall, this phased approach will help in a smooth transition. And again, if you guys have any questions about BPC migrations or our other user stories or use cases, feel free to reach us out anytime. And with that, I will hand it back to Phil. Again, thanks a lot for joining the webinar.
Thanks, Karthik. Appreciate it. That was some really good stuff there. Before we get to the questions, I just wanted to remind everyone on the call, we'll be sending up a follow-up email to all of you, thanking you for your time, but also with a special offer. So keep an eye out for that in the next couple of days. Mary, do we have any questions? Please, guys, if you have questions, Mary sent a note out, put them in the Q&A section. Do we have any questions, Mary?
I have a few that have come in various ways. So the first one, Karthik, I guess this is for you. Is seamless planning available only in BDC?
No, Mary. It's available as long as your SAC tenant and DataSphere tenant are on the same HANA cloud. I think SAP started pushing all the SAC tenants onto HANA cloud from last year. So it should be available outside of BDC too. But anyways, with BDC, it comes with add advantages. Like we can take use of data products. We can, if you have any Databricks or Snowflake use cases, you can extend it for these AI use cases.
Okay. Thank you. Here's another one for you. Can we implement script logic like BPC?
Yes. In fact, that is one of the main capability or important capability this seamless planning unlocks. So now that we have full data sphere or HANA data cloud exposed outside, meaning available to start modeling directly, we can implement any kind of script logic similar to how we implement HANA logic at the database level. Even with the data sphere have HDI modeling available through BTP. So we can even go through BTP and then do all the HDI container based modeling too for any advanced use cases. But in a nutshell, yes, script logics, everything can be done. And just to extend my answer, in SAC, all the data actions, multi actions, whenever we run the model, it may have some limitations on the data size, also some kind of performance issues. Whereas in data sphere, we can even re-persist this data, semi-persist this data whenever needed to improve the performance. Like, we can run some kind of batch jobs on the planning. Like, if the planning data set is huge, we can take advantage of task flows and everything in data sphere to improve the speed and also achieve like a lot of more advanced use cases.
Got it. So you mentioned performance, and you also kind of set the stage that previously with the SAC solution, with the database kind of embedded in SAC, there were performance issues. With seamless planning, you mentioned there's ways around performance issues. And so it's performing much better. The performance is really good. Are there any other known performance issues that you've run across so far?
See, I already answered in a very, maybe like, very at a high level, Mary. When it comes to performance, SAC right now is available in both public and private tenant. Specifically, when it comes to planning use cases, most of the times, the regular 128 GB available by SAP um, may not be suffice, because to run this planning data actions, we may have to bump up the memory. I have seen for a couple of customers, we increase the memory size on the private tenant. So with data sphere, again, it's we can use many of the data sphere tenant configurations, ECN nodes when needed, and also since it's a table level, we can do a lot of partitions, purge the old data very easily. So we can do a lot of database level tuning things, which may significantly improve the performance without impacting or without compromising on the user level interface.
Got it. Okay, here's another one for you. Is it mandatory to provision Databricks through SAP to be able to share data products from DataSphere
No,
into Databricks? Or
no,
can we
no.
share them
We
to a
can share
Databricks
out
environment?
direct. No, no,
Okay.
we can. So that very good question. So it comes again. This should be our, this will be our next webinar on it. So I recently wrote a blog on native Databricks versus SAP Databricks. It is, see, most of the organizations already have Databricks implemented in one way or the other way. So
Yeah.
when it comes to SAP data, um, since planning FP&A data in SAC has a rich, very huge, rich semantics embedded to it, sharing with internal Databricks, when I say internal SAP Databricks, may be valid for some use cases. But if you have a lot of data engineering activity going out of on non-SAP data outside of this SAP data sphere BDC ecosystem, then probably using data BDC Connect, it's again a different service altogether. So we can register a data product in data sphere, and we can share the data via BDC Connect, or we can delta share to native Databricks too, no problem. But the only clause is data has to be in the object store of the data sphere. If you use SAP Embedded Databricks, your entire cost and everything will be part of SAP CPUs or consumption units. When you're sharing with outside Databricks, then again it will be separate costing through enterprise Databricks.
Okay. Thank you. I think we've addressed that one. If you have further follow-on questions on that, please put them in the Q&A. Here's an additional question for you, Karthik. When using BDC for planning, we will do all the logics in DataSphere and planning, and then in Databricks using ML, no need to do any logic in SAC using data actions. Is my approach correct?
It depends, right? So technically it is possible, but like I always say, like, you can skin a cat in a multiple hundred ways, but you need to find a right way to skin it. So data actions, whatever you do in the data actions can be pretty much be done in the script logic, but it all depends on, like, UI. And for any very minimal very very small use cases, or like, some kind of, like, if you want to have users to run the data actions, it will with lot of parameterizations, data actions is still way to go. But however, it depends on how much data we're talking about, what is advanced logic we're talking about. But it's give or take. Like, technically you can implement everything in seamless planning and everything in data sphere, but it is not like, one pill for every single thing. Like, there may be cases where you still have to do some data actions.
Gotcha. Okay. Fair enough. All right, I don't see any other questions that have come in. We'll just give it another minute or so. And then otherwise, I think I'll turn it back to Phil. Yeah, why don't you go ahead, Phil? I'll just interrupt you if any other questions come in.
Yeah, and you guys can always email me too.
Yeah.
My information is on the screen. If you feel to email me, call me, text me, whatever is most comfortable for you. I want to thank everyone for joining us today. Hopefully this was valuable time spent with you guys. And there's more to this, and you'll see more about that in our email that's going to come out shortly. So please feel free to reach out, look for this offer email. It's going to come out in the next day or two. And like I said, we're here for you to help. So thank you all very much and have a great rest of your week.
Thank you.